We're back to the Neil Haley show. And last year, my guest talked about the racetrack going around and around and around and not figuring out what's happening, chicken with our head cut off. And this year, we're going to talk with Eva Medilek, and we're going to talk about specifically enough burnout and how that can teach us certain things. And so we can make it the best year possible by not feeling burnout. And I think a lot of people, the pandemic, and we're all looking to now we're seeing the after effects of the pandemic as we're finally finishing up, even though COVID's still here. It's going to always be here. But the after effects of the seriousness of the pandemic and the lockdown and all the different things are still affecting people today, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, when you look at the messages that you're getting from coaches and gurus, we're living in a society where they keep telling us to do more, and we're constantly told that more is better. We add more salt, more sugar, extra whatever to recipes, and hoping that it'll make it better, but it sometimes ends up being a disaster. And what you're feeling from trying to do everything that people are telling you need to do more of, we're all feeling that exhaustion, overwhelm, and burnout. And those are messages for us that we can use to make our lives better, actually.
So burnout can give us messages. What signs of burnout? Give me some signs of burnout.
Well, first of all, your health. Your health starts to break down. You may have neck pain, back pain, wherever you hold stress, you'll start to feel burnout. You may find yourself being Mr. or Mrs. Cranky Pants, you're taking it out on you're so exhausted that you're taking it out on the people around you. You may be short or snippy with your answers. Your relationships might be taking a hit because you're tired all the time. I always say when you can't Netflix and chill and you're Netflix and snoozing, something is going on. And I like to say that, how nice and juicy and crispy French fries are. Well, by the time you get to your family, there's only the burnt pieces of yourself left at the end. And that's what your family's getting, what's left over of you. And they're complaining about it. They're not happy that you're busy and tired all the time.
And so how do you stop that? Those signs of burnout?
Well, first of all, you have to look at what the signs are telling you. Your burnout is giving you messages. And so if you look at an ocean, if you will, you can't fight the ocean, right? You're out there, the waves are hitting you. What is the life preserver or surfboard that you need to be able to ride the waves of the burnout? And so, first of all, it's really creating energy. A power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. So how could you generate energy for yourself so that you don't feel so exhausted all the time? You don't feel overwhelmed all the time. Your relationships aren't taking a hit. And I've got kind of a CPR, if you will, that you can jumpstart your best year and not feel the effects, the negative effects of burnout, but really turn that around. And the first thing is really being clear. The C in CPR is clarity. You've got to be clear on what you want and what makes you happy. The P is prioritize. You've got to be clear on what your priorities are, because studies show that if you're not clear on what your priorities are, you're up to 30 times more likely to miss out on success. And you've got to make your decisions based on your priorities and not on the feelings of burnout, overwhelm, and exhaustion. And so you've got to get clear on what that is. And the R is responsibility. You've got to own the responsibility of creating and setting boundaries. Boundaries create safety. It's your job to set it and communicate it and hold it, because we make poor choices saying yes every time we say no, saying yes every time we want to say no, and we end up overcommitted and exhausted because of it. So if you just start that CPR practice, you'll be able to start getting rid of things that don't move forward or support your priorities, instead of continually adding more and more and more and feeling that burden.
All right. Best place people can find info on you, Eva. Where can they go?
EvaMedilek.com.
Eva, I appreciate it. Great information. definitely makes me ponder those things. I have a lot of things to ponder after all these interviews today about what I've learned. And that's fantastic what you're able to bring to the table and look at burnout and identify burnout and say what needs to change. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Neil. Have a
You're
great one.
welcome. You too.
Bye.
You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.